Hi guys, welcome back to Intimacy TV. My name is Mel.
And I'm Jane.
And we are all about raw conversation with real education. So today we wanted to talk about an episode that was on the project on Channel 10 last Friday night. And it was on the topic of sugar daddies. And it is about an app that's called Seeking Arrangements. And you know what's actually happening with this app. So we got to watch the episode yesterday, and I've actually seen another documentary that went for an hour on it, and I've myself done a little bit of digging into this app myself. So yeah, let's get going. So this is going to be a hot topic. We really want you guys to ask questions, give us your feedback, because we expect this one to be extremely controversial, because we are going to have two sides of the debate here on whether an app like Sugar Daddies, where it is a dating app, and we pretty much on the dating app, what's happening is there's a lot of exchange of money in some form, whether it's cash or it's trips. It could be dinners, movies, theatre. It could be paying for your rent, you know, and expenses that you might have as a woman. Majority of how many did you say was on the actual website?
It was 193,000.
Okay, that's sugar daddies. There are sugar mamas on there, but it's only about 6,000. Yeah, and I'm assuming that. Was that in Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, so there's still 6,000 women out there. So a majority of the people that are on there that I've noticed tend to have a net worth of $1 million US. So we're talking about people that have got the money and have the luxury, obviously, to live a slightly different lifestyle, or they're a little bit more busy than normal.
And the majority of the sugar babes are actually uni students.
Yeah, so this is what they were showing on the project, that it was literally the highest percentage were Sydney uni students that were the sugar babes, as they call them, that are going on there and offering, I suppose, their
companionship.
And companionship. Yeah, I was going to say services, but it's companionship and time. It depends on, and that's part of the debate. Is it a service? Is it a job? You know, what is it? Hi Mariam. So, all right. We watched it here. There was three of us watching the episode, and Mariam, we know, is actually the one that called me in the car and said, you know, or actually messaged going, you need to watch this.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Mariam, for that. And you know, said, oh, maybe you want to dig a bit deeper into it. And I said, well, actually, I've been digging there for a few months and having a look at what this app is, because we're all about educating on dating being one of the topics that we do. And these days, it seems to be that we're a bit more time poor or lazy, or I'll say disconnected, because we don't tend to meet face to face anymore, do we? Everything's going to be online.
Yeah.
All right, so we watched it yesterday, and we actually got in a good heated debate here. Yes, so we should have just pressed play yesterday, because the two of the ladies that were here yesterday, you guys, your opinion, do you want to share your opinion of what this app is about and talk a bit more about how you perceived it?
I guess when it comes to dating and relationship, everybody has their own opinion of what it means.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not here to judge, but just personal opinion, I believe that when it comes to sugar daddy, you know, it's been around for, years.
They have, literally, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now the sugar mom's actually catching up. But I believe that when it comes to sugar daddy and sugar babes, their companionship, it's labeled as something that's quick and convenient, no string attached, no commitment. I'm actually was quite surprised that there was single moms on there.
Oh yes, yeah, because on the article they were actually had interviewed a single mum who was really struggling with the rent in Sydney, and she was she the one going to uni, or was that just the other?
No,
one?
that was
So one was a single mum and one was a uni student, and you know, it was paying the bills So they were doing more of a cash exchange. They did interview a gentleman who was a sugar daddy, and he was saying that he's spending about $1,000 a month on, you know, gifts and whatnot, which actually isn't that much, surprisingly, because generally the going rate, if there is going to be a cash exchange, is between, I'm going to say, $250 and $600 a catch up. So, as I said, I've actually been speaking to people that have been sugar babes and also sugar daddies to get different perspectives of what's happening. So the argument was, is this prostitution?
I guess it's some kind of service. And whatever you label, I guess it depends on whatever you want to label it.
Yeah.
Right. For me, there's not much difference. I guess is the bottom line of, I guess, how far of it is prostitution. You know, is it clearly communicate as in, I give you money, you give me intimacy or sex or whatever.
Or companionship or a dinner date, or come to me to a work event, or travel with me, or go to the theatre. Yeah.
Yep. Or having, you know, like, it's like having a mistress. And we actually personally know someone who's dating a girl who's been a mistress. Yes.
Okay, that was about 1.5 years ago. I think we actually met a guy, and his partner was a mistress, and her apartment was getting paid for, and she was getting what, $10,000 a month or something.
Yeah, and for her, in her opinion, that was a job. So that wasn't her getting emotionally attached. And I think the convenience of this is that people don't want to feel emotionally attached.
Yeah. Yep.
And they can just do it as a service. And if this is a service, I believe it's a fine line between that, a very fine line.
Because the people that were on the project, the panel, you know, one of the ladies was going, I really struggle with this, and I struggle with the thought of my daughter actually being someone that's on there, and it is, to her, it was more prostitution. So I think, you know, we've got a couple of guys that are watching, so it'd be interesting to see what their take would be in regards to whether they would call something like an app with a sugar daddy that's paying for time, paying for your time, whether they would classify as prostitution. Because I will say, on the app, there is a lot of gentlemen that put on there, if you're an escort or a prostitute, I don't want to be with you. Yeah. So I found that really interesting about the mental space with that. And it's like, well, you know, like, well, hang on a minute. To me, you're paying for my time, right? And time is money. That's the old saying. But also time is my highest value. So for me, I value my time quite high. So you're paying for my time in this scenario. And I'll bring up the other date about time in a minute. But the argument about time. But, you know, the whole idea that if you're paying a woman, like I've been on there and researched, so I actually got offered everything from, I think it was $200 up to $2,000 just for a face-to-face. Now, there was no sex being discussed here. It was to catch up. And I was like, thanks, but no thanks. Because, you know, this is research. I don't need to get paid this money. However, if I'm getting paid the money, and what difference to a guy, what is the difference mental space of going, I'm paying money if I go see a prostitute or an escort who's qualified for these services, in my opinion, and I'm now going to pay a woman I've never met who probably is carrying an STI, which is what I find fascinating. And then I'm wanting to go and actually catch up with her, and I'm going to pay her cash. What is the difference?
I guess
because cash is cash to me.
Well, I think then the question of it is sex involved? I think for a lot of guys who paying more for companionship, like they're just too busy to have a proper relationship, and they want to have just wine and dine. And they just want to have that, you know, the experience, being with someone. Yeah. But not having the long-term commitment of family, marriage or kids and things like that. Yeah. Then, you know, when sex is not in the equation, is it prostitution?
When sex is not in the equation.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because we automatically would assume that there's sex in there, and then if there's sex
But because
exchange and
people-
there's cash exchange,
Yeah,
then
but
that's a
people
prostitution.
say that, you know, they are there for their companionship. So companionship can mean so many different things, but
Okay.
usually when you say companionship, it's more the experience being with someone,
Yep.
and it may not involve the
Intimacy side, yeah. Exactly.
So I'm thinking, well, the debate is if sex is not in the equation, do you classify it as prostitution? Because usually when you
Okay.
go to see a prostitute, an escort,
Yeah.
sex is in the equation. That's true. That's an assumption.
Well, it's an assumption, even
It's
though
an
we
assumption.
know that that's an assumption, because we know from actually talking to prostitutes that 80% of the time the guys are just getting a blowjob. You know, and they spend 45 minutes of the hour talking, and the last 15 minutes getting a blowjob, right? So they actually aren't having, I suppose it depends on what you call sex, but they're having oral sex and not penetration sex. And I actually came across someone who was very adamant that at no time was there to be any penetration sex. And I found that quite fascinating. It was like, I'm sorry, what do you mean? You know, it was like, oh, well, you know, there's light petting or touching is fine, but there is to be no penis to vagina penetration sex. And I'm like, wow, and you want to pay for this? So there is so many levels that's happening on the app. Now, Alex is saying, you know, this is like the girl next door experience. Or we actually call it, you know, the boyfriend or girlfriend experience. And people do actually pay to go to the movie with somebody and feel like we're in a relationship, but we're actually not.
Remember we saw a video where a guy got paid to give hugs and cuddles.
Yeah, what a job. Get paid for that one. Exactly. Then Marion was saying that I think some of them have found love this way. So escorts of prostitution will not be in that space. That's an interesting way to look at it. And I am going to say though, I would think it's a very small percentage of men that have found love. What I discovered on there seems to be quite a different level of men. So they start, I'm going to say around the early 20s, and then they go right up to in their 60s. As in the age bracket of men that were on there. Some of them literally just wanted to have a conversation or just to catch up and dinner and drinks because they travel a lot and they just want that companionship. Some were literally on there saying, I want to play. Yeah. I just want to play. There's one that was there that was talking about he wanted to have more of a BDSM experience. In fact, there was another one that he's definitely into a bit of fetish. And he wanted to be a servant. So he'd do your pickup, your dry cleaning, do your supermarket groceries, and he'd pay you for this experience, which is a bit more fetish. And he was, you know, there's one that even liked to wear women's clothing and shoes.
It's like
and
getting a free cleaner.
That.
Is that a free cleaner?
Totally.
Why would you say no to that? And you get paid for it.
And I'm getting money, and someone's doing my cooking and my washing and my cleaning. It was very hard to pass that one up, but it was when he said he likes to wear dresses and heels. I was like, I'm not sure about that. No. Some of them, you have different categories. So when you go into an app like this, just explain it to those of you that have never seen it. Generally, when you put in your profile, you'll pick a name, you'll have your age, you'll have your net worth, you'll have your annual salary in there. You'll say whether you do or don't have kids. You'll say what your limits are for spending. Now, this is on both sides for the woman and the guy. So it could be very moderate, but it could be that you have got a high budget that you want to spend. Then they're going to talk about whether they're married and looking, whether they're in an open relationship, whether they're single or divorced. And they put that on there. So there was a percentage of them that I've come across that are definitely married. And the thing was, you know, like what need is not being met? Because that to me is the number one question to ask if you're the third party that's coming in. It's like, what need isn't being met? Because it's their job to fulfill that need.
I think where it comes to, this is, I guess, you know, the bottom line of open relationship and cheating, because for a lot of guys that don't classify this as cheating.
No, they don't. Well, cheating for men and women are quite different. So this is where it's going to get hot, because women, cheating is cheating. Yeah. Right? Their brains don't go past the word cheating, and then their trust comes into that, and then they just don't trust any man. However, when a woman cheats, The reason why women think cheating is because when a woman cheats, she's already emotionally vacated the relationship.
Yep.
She's freaking out of their dudes. So if your woman's cheated on you, let me tell you, if you decide to keep her there and try harder, she's actually already out.
She's out.
When a guy cheats, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not in love with you. It means that
Just
a need is not being met, and it's not necessarily sexual. So I think it's something that we really want them to understand, that it could be that they're not being heard or validated.
And I think you understand from both sides. Like, men, number one need for them is freedom.
Yes.
Right? And feeling respected and appreciated.
Yes.
And then from that perspective, you look at when men are hunters, right? They go out and they hunt and they provide food and put food on the table. They're proud to be hunters. But then when they go home, they get nagged. And they get yelled and screamed. And, being a mum, I completely get it. Because you're no longer just a mum, you still have to go hunting. You know, and when you go home, you then have to be the caretaker.
Yeah.
And to get the kids.
Especially if you're working, you're saying you're a working mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. So you're going and working all day.
Majority of mums at these days actually working mums.
Yeah.
Because we can't afford to just be at home and look after our kids anymore.
Yeah.
So you think that women have two roles when they're actually also the hunter and the caretaker.
Yeah.
And so no wonder they get tired, exhausted, and especially when I only have one kid and I'm drained. Let alone 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
And then
tribe. Yeah.
And then, when you go home and you have to service your husband,
so there's part of it is that the women are looking at it now as a chore.
Yes.
It adds onto their to-do list for the day, and it no longer becomes, I don't call that intimacy anymore.
No.
So it's no longer, I want to connect with you through intimacy.
I think because women feel they're not supported. I think this is where men don't get it. It's not like women are low in libido and they don't want to have sex with you anymore. There's a proportion of that is, yes, after birth you don't feel sexy anymore. But the big equation for that is that women don't feel supported emotionally.
See, Alex even wrote service to your husband. Oh my God, that's exactly what I say, service. That's what I'm saying is that the mental space, from the research that I've found, is that, and literally with the married men that approached me, I actually straight out, when I said what need wasn't being served, what need is not being met, and if they said intimacy, and they actually didn't use the word sex, they always use the word intimacy, which I found interesting. And I said, have you got a child under the age of 2? And they're like, how did you know? And I'm like, because I know my shit, but you just don't know what I do for a living. And the thing is that it does, with the women that have having the babies, it goes from being intimacy to a fucking chore. And that's a problem with the women's headspace. Like, this is where there's this gap that's missing.
It comes from both sides, because if women feel like they are supported emotionally and everything else around the house, like if men can just pick up the trash without being told
or asked, and
it's a funny thing, because my husband and I had this conversation where sometimes I have to ask him 4 times before he actually go do it.
Hence the word nagging. For women, when we talk about, we hate being a nag. It's just, why don't you do what I mentioned the first fucking time? Not the second, not the fucking third, and definitely not the fourth. And that's when we feel like a nag.
But men in their mental space, very different from what women. Women would go, okay, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
For men, it's like, okay, where do I fit it in? I don't feel like doing it right now.
It's not in my highest values.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not important to me, so I'll do it later.
We agreed, and this is where we found the gap in our conversation. We were like, okay, if I tell you, can you please go out and empty the trash? And he needs to actually give me a timeline.
Of when he's going to put the trash out?
Yes.
Right,
and he can choose when.
Right, okay.
And so that conversation, it's about finding gaps in, I guess, your everyday, and try not to argue and strangle each other back. But I feel like, having I had my first baby last year, August.
Yeah.
And our sex life wasn't like before. It took me a long time to actually get back.
Well, actually, for you guys did it in pretty good timing in comparison to a lot of women. Yeah, like 2 months and they're shagging again. I'm like, high five, dude. Because these guys, because of what Jane and I do for a job, and the fact that a lot of relationships are falling apart after that, or the intimacy side is dying.
But
you're
I get
very
why.
conscious. Yeah,
I
you were really
understand
conscious about this.
And we actually
before you
make
went
it,
in.
yeah, and we actually make more an effort, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess for a lot of women, you know, childbirth is huge, and it's an amazing process to go through. But at the same time, it's one of those the most daunting process to go through. You're pushing out watermelon out of your vagina. It's not easy. So
that's what I always call it.
I completely get why women are not feeling desired, feeling like they in the mood for those intimacy, because and add on to that there's sleep deprivation.
Yeah, but both parties are getting sleep deprivation.
No, but it's more for the mums. It's in because they emotionally connect with the child, and if the child's not sleeping, you're not sleeping, you're wondering, am I a good mother, what's going on? You want control, right?
Okay.
And so a lot of that you project into the housework, go, you need to do this, you need to do that. All they really ask for is help, but they don't know how to communicate straightforward. Okay, I'm really, really needing help.
So we're finding, so when we're looking at this topic about prostitution, okay, because I've always actually said, I know women, they to the whole prostitution, but I've always said we need to say thank you, because they actually keep your marriage together 9 times out of 10, because those men are going somewhere else to having a need, because when you're not getting a need in your relationship, you're going to get it somewhere else. Now, they haven't left you.
No, but then women feel like they're getting betrayed, because here they are taking out the child, and here you are shagging another woman.
Well, you're not necessarily shagging, but their mental space goes straight to the shagging. Correct.
Because it's really is because there's this whole emotional trust in place.
Yeah.
If one, and this is I'm telling you guys, if you want your women to feel in the mood, really help her out around the house.
Yeah.
You know,
that's actually their porn. That's women's porn.
Oh my god!
Do the dishes. Or
even
put
just
the baby in the bath.
Get a cleaner.
Get a cleaner. Oh my god! I would say it's the number one tip that you should be doing is outsourcing that first in your household. Is outsource your housework to help your partner out, and more than likely your woman is not going. Well, your woman's going to not call sex a chore, and it's going to turn back into the intimacy that you guys had before, slightly different level, but you're still gonna you're gonna have that desire to be with your partner, because that issue and the exhaustion that comes with it is actually put aside.
And then I guess the question I want to ask is, like, sugar daddy usually choose a much younger women.
Okay, so this is part of it. So I actually did a profile, and because I was doing research on it, and I didn't put my actual age on there. I put a younger age. Now, I didn't put it too young. Yeah, should have put in my 20s, but I actually kept it at my high 30s, right? Now I'm 44. Now, it was interesting because I actually had a guy that said to me, you know, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting, you know, to come across a woman of your age on here. This is really nice. Granted, he was 42, and I had a chuckle thinking, I'm actually older than you, buddy. But that was the interesting thing, is a majority of the time we're going to find that the women that are on there are in their 20s, that the men are doing as a sugar babes. Because they use a lot of terminology like, I want to look after my princess. And I'm like, mate, I'm not a princess, I'm a fucking queen. Like, that's why I don't suit these websites, because I'm like, dude, like, I'm freaking, you know, if you want to have a girl who is not comfortable in her body, is not confident, probably is a starfish in bed, off you go to your little 20-year-olds. This is me being a little bit...
This is where it's really interesting.
But it's a fantasy.
It's really... It is.
I think the sugar daddies on this site are experiencing an ego stroke fantasy, because they're getting to date a pretty girl. This is about external features, a young, pretty woman that makes them feel younger.
I guess so. And it's all about the fun, isn't it? When you're with a 20-year-old, you don't think about the bills and all the, you know, all the worries of the world anymore. It's like, okay, I'll just go dine one.
And pretty much if you read the profiles of, you know, who you are and what you're seeking, and you read what they're seeking, the word fun comes into it over and over and over again. I want to have fun. And I looked at some of them and I'm reading what they wanted to do. And I'm like, why are you doing this with, this is for the married ones. I'm like, why are you doing this with your fucking wife? Like,
Well,
but obviously
maybe
there's
it's
something
because
else in the
their
relationship.
It's not fun anymore.
Yeah. You got to keep it fun, guys. This is why we talk about all of this. So, all right. So we've got the whole, because look, dating has changed. So let's talk about the younger generation, okay? Because this is what I'm noticing.
I'm so scared to bring up my child.
Your child
as well.
now. Well, one of the things we've been talking about, and another coach discussed it a few weeks ago, is that we're no longer dating when we date. We are relationshiping in dating. So we're actually skipping the fun part and we're going straight to the way that we behave when we're in a relationship. So, and I really had to sit down and think about that.
But what do you expect? We have fast food, fast everything.
Yeah, but no. But that would be fine to do. I don't mind doing the fast sex, right? Or getting to the sex fast. I have no issues with that. My issue is the fact that we are behaving like we're in a relationship when we've just met somebody.
What do you mean exactly?
Okay, so as in when we're saying we're relationshiping in dating, is that, our expectations of the other person, how much time we spend together, how often they contact you or you contact them, where it's not more casual, but that it is like, well, you didn't return my message, you didn't return my phone call, the shit that you would have in a relationship that you've been together quite a while.
It's called an attitude entitlement.
Okay, so now we're actually doing we're doing the attitude of entitlement in dating. We have taken the fun out of dating.
Well, you think about how many girls out there asking men to pay for their date. I won't. For example, I've heard women saying, "I won't date a guy who doesn't have a car."
Yep.
Or
pick me up, turn up, I have flowers, movie, nice car. And this was okay. So earlier on, I said I'll come back to that. So this was my debate. Okay, so we're looking at the sugar daddies and we're looking at the exchange of money for time of some sort, or gifts, buying gifts, going out, whatever, sex, whatever, right? Service. So then we're looking at dating. So let's just say we're on Tinder. Let's just put us on another app for the moment, right? Where there's no money exchange, literally. However, women today are still expecting men to take them out on dates. And today, the way the dates are, I can tell you right now, you go out and you have dinner and drinks and there's $200 gone. So now let's look at your high maintenance.
Maybe it's just take to Macdonald's. It's cheap.
Well, you'll do what I did, go for a walk on the beach.
Yeah.
I highly suggest that one, all right? Because there's no cost there. I bought my own cup of tea. However, this is an issue that I'm looking at when we're comparing the sugar daddies versus what we're doing now, right? Because you're paying $200 for a date. Now, if you're a bit more high maintenance woman, you say they need to tick all these, I earn so much, I drive so much, rah, rah, rah. Then they need to take me every date to these sort of things before I put out. Now, I don't think this is an Australian statistics because we're a little bit more, I nearly said the word loose. But we're a little bit more relaxed over here. But the statistics, I think, for the States was an average of 3.5 months, which equals 13 dates before sex is on the table. I'm going to say 3 dates, right? So I'm going to say 3 to 7 dates.
Look, it's whatever you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I agree with that. However, now we're talking high maintenance women, right? So we're talking about the ones that want to be full on wined and dined before they put out. So what happens is at $200 a pop, let's times it by 5 dates. That's $1,000 that the man has forked out for your time. But because we're not doing a literal, we're going to talk about this up front with no bullshit. Because the idea with the app seeking arrangements, it's dating on your own terms, right? So this is blunt, no bullshit. I'm going to tell you I want this. You're going to say I want this. And because of this is, that's where the money exchange or whatever it is. When you're doing dating and you're dating certain women, you've spent $1,000 on her, but there was no preempt on that. It was, you're just sitting there and you keep taking her out. You're going, am I eventually going to get to the goal? Or shouldn't even be the goal, but let's just be blunt today, right?
Yeah.
We're not really having a lot of relationships now. So let's just say we're getting to the shag. right? We get to shag each other, and you've done 5 dates at $200 a date. It's $1,000 that he's had to pay to invest to spend time with you. Now, we pay to see a prostitute or an escort.
But at the same time, I guess it's a bit extreme, and I agree.
It's
that
extreme. It's just no bullshit. It's a no bullshit app.
Well, I actually agree that, yes, you shouldn't be waiting 13 days. It's a bit long.
Well, this is when a man will ghost you. So what'll happen is he'll get his shot away and go, that was so much hard work, she's so high maintenance, fuck that shit. But they become determined to get to a goal, and then they get the goal, and then they disappear out of your life.
You see the statistic, that's why men are afraid of high maintenance women.
Here we go. Excellent point, Mel. $1,000 for the chance to maybe shag.
Yes.
But this is a debate, so I'm actually talking from the man's point of view right now, and I'm going to have some empathy for that, because women are also expecting the men to pay for all the dates.
I don't think
which
it's
I don't
fair.
agree with.
For me, I don't think it's fair.
I don't think it's fair at all.
But at the same time, from a women's perspective, you're saying you spent $1,000 for my time.
Yeah.
I'm saying, well, it's my time, and I'm actually investing my time to be with you in that moment as well. It's an exchange.
It's an exchange.
I'm not saying that it's right for men to pay $1,000 for dinner, for that many dates.
Yeah. But that's how much it costs. I'm telling you, going out dating, we've blown a couple $100 without blinking.
Yeah, but I think maybe we need to take a step back and go, well, where can I find cheaper dates, more creative dates?
We do suggest a first date should be a coffee date.
Yeah.
All right. Then you know whether you want to invest more money or time.
And then on top of that, because men pay for the date, they expect sex.
Now, okay, this is the women's debate, is if the guy actually pays for dinner and blah, 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 then they expect me to put out.
Yeah.
And in a way, I'm gonna go a 50-50 on this. I'm gonna say 50% of the time guys do expect that, and 50% of the time they don't. I don't know, guys, what do you think? Tell us, do you think that if you spend $200 for dinner and drinks and stuff like that, would you expect the woman to shag you?
But I'm saying, if I were women on a date like that, I would feel really weird, because I know there's an expectation coming my way, whether he communicates or not. Right.
Oh, so you're feeling automatically, we're at a nice place, we're at a nice venue, we're having a nice meal, so I'm going to be expected to have sex.
Yeah,
you actually feel that way.
I would not be comfortable for a man to pay for that much. If it's
granted, yes. I have been in a situation, that 7-hour date, that was like $200, and I was really quite happy to go, and I actually said, here's some money for it, and he was adamant, I'm not going to pay. Granted, I think he got a 7-hour counselling session, so I bloody ruined it. It's a service. It's a service. But I'm actually quite happy to pay my way, and I've done that. But then there's a fine line, because if you turn around and you go and pay, then you may be emasculating him.
I think first date, if the guy offered to pay, I think it's a nice suggestion. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
Second date, I think it's fair that you offer to pay.
Yes, correct. I agree.
And then ongoing, if you keep saying
50-50 or exchange back and forth.
And so that way, you will not feel like, okay, I'm obligated to have sex, and he will not feel like, okay, I'm expecting sex.
Yes.
But, it's really tricky, because
I think whoever ask for the date should maybe pay for the date. Even if I ask the guy, then I should go and do that. Yeah.
But sometimes men have problem for women paying for it, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then you may be emasculating him. So I think, so let's look at the sugar daddy, because we've said there's 193,000 Australian men that are on the sugar daddy app.
That's a big number.
That's just on that app. That's a big number, right? And they are the ones that are generally looking after the woman. Now, from a lot of the profiles that I've read, the men really desire to do that. They actually desire to treat them out.
They want to feel like, I'm the hunter again. I'm the man. Okay. Maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
So maybe I'm thinking, well, if you want to pay for everything, you want to take care of another woman, isn't it some sort of egotistic thing that you want to feel like a man? Again, you want to feel respected, you want to feel appreciated, maybe.
All right. Okay, hang on. And then when you've got the married men on there.
That's just another...
So the married man still wants to feel appreciated, you're saying,
Absolutely.
and wants to feel like the man and
yeah.
doesn't have that.
Because you know what? This is what I find, that I think women sort of expect men to be hunters because they always have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And men expect women to be caretakers.
Yeah.
Right. And we forget that at the end of the day, no one is obligated to anything.
Okay.
And we don't give the respect or the appreciation needed for what they do.
Okay. Yep.
And so when you look at from a relationship, the married man, he's thinking, well, I'm doing all this.
Yeah,
and I'm not being appreciated.
So if he goes on as a sugar daddy and then finds a younger woman that helps,
like you said,
with his
a
fantasies,
need being met.
a need being met, and his need
Respect is high for men.
Appreciated, because a girl that is having her bills paid for example, or rent paid for, is appreciative of the fact that he's paying her rent.
Yep.
Right, whereas the partner may have lost that appreciation, or just it's an expectation.
I think it's both sides. They just lose the appreciation of each other. Yeah.
All right. So the question is an app like Sugar Daddy, where it's all blunt as hell and upfront saying what you want, what he wants, and there is a cash. It's always a cash. You should have an FPOS machine, but it's a cash exchange. Is it prostitution? Jane?
Well, I would say it is. In my eyes, it is. And I guess, you know, I'm not here to judge if that's your thing. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
I'm not supporting if you're cheating, if you're in a relationship and you do that.
For those ones, yeah. For those that percentage that's
just,
on there.
First of all, either address your issues in the relationship or leave.
Yeah.
Just at least have respect for yourself. But I believe it's just a different label on prostitution.
Yeah. Okay. My side of the debate is, I don't think it is. This is why it's a debate, by the way. This is what we like to do. I look at it from a different side, and I just find it a different level of connection.
Okay.
A different style of connecting with somebody, considering most of us aren't even connecting anymore anyway. We're not emotionally connecting. I just find it a very blunt, no bullshit, which is quite, to be honest, after all the research that I've done since I wrote a book on dating, and going through so many different platforms, I actually found it extremely refreshing, because it is really, I mean, sometimes a little bit too blunt, but it is just no bullshit.
Your style, though.
I live on the word candor, which is deal with the elephant in the room. So I tend to go straight for the guts of it and deal with the elephant in the room. So I call it the elephant app. So it is the one that it deals with the elephants in the room very, very quickly. If it's not on their profile that you're dealing with it, you'll tend to deal with it, within a quick conversation or in a quick face-to-face. And it's just no bullshit. And I like the fact that it's no bullshit.
Say, for example, if, say, a uni student, think of it, if she does it, to pay for her uni fees, and that's become a job.
Okay, right? So I actually see that. I see the guys, the sugar daddies, dating the uni students from the uni student side. The issue that I have with that part, paying for fees and rent and stuff, is that it is so easy to cross the line to go into that kind of make it a job and a career, because how can you go from $100 an hour back down to $20 an hour?
Yep.
So that is where I literally, Mariam's new form of prostitution. I find that an issue, because I've had other people that I know within my industry that have talked about doing cam work, as in, we're doing, you guys go and live stream into my cam time, my video time, and you are paying for me to be on camera, and you're paying for me to do whatever. So the money that they were making would be a couple $100 an hour, and I'm like, honey, once you cross that line, and
very hard.
I said it's very hard for you to go back And because you turn around, it's like taking drugs. You turn around and you say, I'm only going to do it for a short amount of time, right? However, the money's so good that you really struggle when you stop doing that because you were earning 10 times what you were earning before per hour. So think of the FIFOs, the fly in, fly out. So they do 4 weeks on, sometimes 2 weeks off. And the money is so good that they start off doing it going, all right, I'm going to do it for 1 year and I'm going to have enough money to go and buy a property, right? And then 3 years passes and 5 years pass because they come back here and they go to do their trade, like just do a normal tradesman job, for example, and they're getting paid fuck all in comparison to what they got paid over there.
So would you date someone if they're, from what they see is a job, right?
Yeah.
But from what you see is not really a job. It's, do you get what I mean? Like, would you date someone who's the sugar babes? Who's actually seeing...
If I was a guy.
If you were a guy.
Oh, if I was a guy and if I was polyamorous, yes. Because that doesn't matter. And I've actually spoken to people who are poly. Because the relationship is so open that they've spent time with people where there's no exchange and it's just normal. I'm meeting someone else to a money exchange.
Yeah.
And she got paid on average about $500 every time she caught up with someone, right? So if it's in a poly relationship, which means that you have a primary relationship, it's very open, there's a lot of communication, and I saw somebody else, not a problem. However, if I'm not in that style of relationship, I would struggle with that. If I have a complete monogamous mentality and I'm a one-on-one and I was a guy, I wouldn't want to date someone that I know is getting their bills paid for time. I would struggle with that. It is a really tough one, isn't it? It's a really tough topic because, the documentary I watched, I think it was on SBS, it was an hour on this particular app, on seeking arrangements, and one of the women had lost her job and she was finding it hard. They're in America. She was finding it really hard to find another job. She came onto this app. She started getting paid for sex, or I'm going to say services, because hers was quite a blunt description of what she put in there, of what she desired, right? There was a money exchange, and she found, because of the money that she was earning, that she just couldn't go back into the normal world, to the normal status world. And that is...
It's not surprised.
I think this is the clincher when you start to go into what most of us would call the underground or underworld or illegal, depending on what state you live in Australia, kinds of industries. So that would be stripping, prostitution, drugs, things like that. Once you're in there, the per hour money that you make can be so fast that you will really struggle to go back and just be like everybody else. And then you get into that web, and then once you're in the web, you keep going and you keep going.
And the porn industry.
And the porn industry. I think you need to have a very resilient personality to actually be able to go in and go out. And the poly people seem to be able to go in and out of that industry, or I'm going to call this an industry, the seeking arrangements as an industry of its own.
Yeah.
They find it a lot easier to go into it for a little bit and experience stuff and bring those experiences back into their actual relationship. Much easier to come in and out than a normal Joe Blogs. And most of you out there are normal Joe Blogs. So most of you, by the way, won't be able to cope with something like this. And you don't know what's going to happen on the other end. It's the same risk. The difference is that with a lot of the escorts that I know, they actually have a security app on their phone. So when they go to meet up with somebody, they have to actually hit the app. And if they don't actually hit it within that time frame, so say it's an hour, if they don't hit it within 5 minutes past the hour, it goes straight to the police. So you as a normal woman are playing sugar babe, are putting yourself at a lot of risk by going out there and meeting up with people. So you hope that you're getting something that's someone that's respectful. But in the case of the woman that I watched on the documentary, she woke up with someone putting out their cigarettes on her arm, and she's actually a bit fucked up now mentally because of the whole thing, but she's still doing it even though she's quite traumatized. So look guys, we definitely love feedback and ideas of what you think. The question on here is is something like this, where is some form of exchange for your time, whether that be a gift, or whether that be sex, or whether that be cash, whether you're getting literally something of some form. Yeah, it's not just time exchange, but you're getting paid on some form for your time, which is majority of the website, but not all of it. Is this prostitution or not? So feel free to keep putting your comments down. As I said, this is a massive debate. We've tried to cover a lot of the angles here. I do know, and I'm going to quickly check, as Alex did write something up here, which was, I think there is more excitement for a man to have a sugar babe, which is much more like the girl next door. So this is about excitement for the guys, and this is about getting your bills paid and getting your nice expensive handbag for the girls. I'm going to say, you're going to have the small percentage of those that might end up falling in love, but I'm going to call it a very small percentage, because not many of the men on there are actually openly looking for a relationship. Most of them want a NSA, which is a no strings attached relationship. It's pretty rare that you'll see a profile that says, I am actually looking for someone to spend my life with. Normally it's to spend a period of time with, whether that's a year or not. Yeah. So thanks for joining us. We know this was a long one, but we also know that this was a hot topic. Please put down any of your thoughts. We want to hear from both the men and the women. Until our next episode here at Intimacy TV. Bye for now.